We will start the session now. In the previous lecture, we have solved one problem that is basically on assembly field, or that is basically assembly problem. Okay, so in this lecture, we will try to solve one more problem based on this field. Okay, and after that, we will see the structural field, that is again the bar under axial load, but that bar will not be have, or it will not be have uniform cross section. It will be having tapered cross section. So that we are going to cover in the next session. So let's initially take this problem. Okay, so let's consider the simple problem. So three concentric rings, three concentric rings of different materials. Okay, so we have three rings basically, which are made up of different materials. Okay, are joined together as shown in figure, determine the displacements, at free end. Determine the displacement at free end. Okay, we are supposed to determine what is the displacement at the free end. Okay, so let's consider this problem. Okay, let's consider this problem. Okay, so what we have, let's consider. Okay, this is basically okay, this is a fixed support. Okay, so this is a fixed support I am drawing. This is a fixed support. Okay, so to this fixed support I am going to attach the three concentric rings. Okay, so let's consider. Okay, this will be the center of the, this might be the center of the ring. Okay, this is the center of the ring, and we have let's say we have this initial, let's say we have this ring. Okay, let's say we have this ring. This is one ring. Okay, obviously the ring will be circular. So this is the inner diameter of the first ring. This is the inner diameter of the first ring, right? And let that inner diameter be 15. I will write down phi is equal to 15. Inner diameter phi is equal to 15. This is the inner diameter of the ring, that is phi is equal to 15. Obviously it will have outer diameter. So let's see, these are the outer diameter. So this is the outer diameter. We are just taking the side view. This is the outer diameter. Okay, this is the outer diameter of the ring. See, let's consider this first ring. It is having inner diameter 15 and it is outer diameter, it's 20. Okay, so this is the outer diameter I will draw. Okay, I will just write down that outer diameter here. Okay, so I will write down here only. Okay, so this is the outer diameter. Inner diameter is 15, outer diameter phi is equal to 20, right? Inner diameter phi is equal to 15, outer diameter phi is equal to 20. So this is our first ring. Okay, so to this particular first ring, what we have, see, we have total three rings. Okay, so we need to have one more ring. Okay, so I will draw one ring here. Okay, so this is the inner diameter I will draw. Okay, this is the inner diameter I will draw, right? So let me write down this inner diameter. Okay, this inner diameter. So this inner diameter is 25. Phi is equal to 25. Okay, and we will have outer diameter. Try to understand the problem. Huh? Problem, it's very simple. Thing is how you are applying your concepts. Okay, so it is having inner diameter phi is equal to 25 and outer diameter phi is equal to 235. Okay, this phi is equal to 35. phi is equal to 35, right? Okay. So after that, we have one more. We have one more ring. Okay, we have one more ring. See, problem you might feel that this to be complex. It's not a complex problem. This is the most simple problem. Okay. After that, we have one more ring. Okay, which is having this inner diameter. I will mention these are the inner diameter. Okay, and this inner diameter is 40. Inner diameter is phi is equal to 40. Okay. See, if I simply post the problem, or if I just show you the image of the problem or question, it is difficult to understand. That is the reason why I'm drawing this diagram. So this is the outer ring, okay, with inner diameter phi is equal to 40, and outer diameter. So this is the outer diameter with phi is equal to 50. With phi is equal to 50. Phi is equal to 50. So is that okay to everyone? Is that okay? All of you, is that okay? Yes or no? Is that okay or not? Okay, so we have these rings. Okay, now all these rings are attached to a plate. Okay, all these rings are attached to a plate. So let's consider this plate. This is the plate to which the rings are attached. This is the plate to which the rings are attached, right? This is the plate to which the rings are attached. You can see here, all these rings are attached to the plate. All these rings are attached to the plate. Okay, and to this particular plate, we are going to apply force P is equal to 80 kilonewton. P is equal to 80 kilonewton. Okay. Now see, if we talk about this ring, okay, if you talk about this ring, it is made up of a material with E is equal to 200 gigapascal. 200 gigapascal. Okay. Now if you talk about this ring, okay, middle ring, it is made up of material with value of E as 180 gigapascal. 180 gigapascal, right? And if you talk about this one, right, this is made up of a material with value of E is equal to 120 gigapascal. 120 gigapascal. Is that okay? Is that okay? And this if we talk about the length of the ring, length of each ring, it is 100 mm. Length of each ring, it is 100 mm. Right? Is that okay, all of you? Now let me know. Now let me know how to start. Now let me know how to start with this. Let me know how to start. How should we start? Let me know how should we start. All of you, let me know how should we start with the solution of the problem. What is very basic step in FEA? Can anybody let me know how to start with the solution of the problem? How to start? So see, if you see, the very basic step in FEA is the discretization. We need to discretize it. Okay, so there are certain criteria for discretization. So first criteria, it is change in cross section. First criteria, change in cross section. So see, each ring, it is of different cross section because their inner diameter and outer diameter are different, right? So for first one, it is 15, inner is 15, outer is 20. For second one, inner is 25, outer is 35. For outermost ring, inner is 40 and outer is 50. Okay, so based on change in cross section, okay, 3 rings are having 3 different cross sections. So based on that criteria, we will get 3 elements. Is that okay? Is that okay to all of you? Is that okay? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So based on change in cross section, we have 3 elements. Similarly, each ring, it is of a different material. You can see for each ring, we have different value of E. For each material, each ring, we have different value of E. That means each ring, it is made up of different material. So again, based on the change in material, we are having 3 elements, which are having 3 elements. And these 3 elements are same elements which we have got by considering the criteria of change in cross section. Because for change in cross section, this is one element, this is one element, and this is one element. Again, based on change in material, this is one element, this is one element, and this is one element. So again, based by the criteria change in cross section and by the criteria change in material, we are getting 3 elements, similar 3 elements. Okay, so if you talk about see, but if you talk about all those rings, see, this is one ring, this is one ring, this is one ring. Okay, one end of the ring, it is fixed at this end, and one end it is attached to this plate, right? One end of the ring, it is fixed to at the left end, and other end it is attached to free support or the plate, right? See, just see this ring, just see this ring. One end it is attached to left hand side to the fixed support, and its other end it is attached to the plate, right? So see, what I will do, I will take this as a this point. See, try to understand, or let me write down this. I will take this point. Okay, this is nothing but a fixed support. I will take this point. This is nothing but your plate, right? Connection point. This point, it connects ring to the fixed support. This point connect the ring to the plate, right? This point connects the ring to the plate. Okay. Now what we have here is, okay, what we have here is, okay, let me write down first. Let me write down first this innermost I will draw, right? I will draw first innermost. So I will draw it like this. See, this is the innermost ring. Okay, this is my one element. Try to understand. This is the innermost ring, which I will call it as element number 1, right? Which I will call it as element number 1. After that, I have middle ring. Okay, after that, I will have middle ring. I will call this as element number. This is element number 2, right? And after that, I have outer ring. Okay, and I will call this as element number 3. I will call this as element number 3. Is that okay, all of you? Element number 1 innermost, element number 2 middle one, and element number 3 outermost. Is that okay? Is that okay with this one? Okay. Now if you see all these 3 rings, they are connected to same point. Okay, at the left hand side, and that is basically they are connected to fixed support. I will call this as node number 1. All these 3 rings, they are connected at the other end to this particular plate. Okay, I will call this as node number 2. Can you repeat? Can you repeat?
Inner one gap, sir.
See, what is this point number 1? See, if you see all these rings, they are connected to fixed support, and that point, connection point, I will call it as point number 1, right? And that is basically node 1. Similarly, all these rings, they are connected to plate, and I will call that point as point number 2, right? So these are nothing but your nodes, node number 1 and node number 2, because we have everything in between this fixed support and this plate. Okay, so the connection between rings and fixed support, it is node 1. Connection between rings and plate, it is node 2. Is that okay? Right. Now let's start. Okay, now we need to start with what? We need to start with deriving the element stiffness matrices. We need to start deriving the element stiffness matrices. And for that, we should know, the, see, if you talk about the element stiffness matrices, it is E by L. For that, you require area. Okay, so area, we need to calculate that area. Okay, so let's start with first one, A1. For first one, we are talking about first one, A1. How will you calculate area, cross section area? It's a circular one, right? So it is pi by 4. Okay, its inner diameter is 15, outer diameter is 20. Okay, so I will write down pi by 4, 20 square minus 15 square. See, pi by 4, 20 square minus 15 square. Is that okay? Pi by 4, 20 square minus 15 square, right? Because formula, it's, what is the formula? Pi by 4 d square, right? Area, if you want, I will write down the generalized formula. Area, it is given by, what is the formula for area? It is given by pi by 4 d square, right? Okay, because, but this is having two diameter, inner and outer. So it is pi by 4 outer diameter square minus inner diameter square. So let me know how much value you get. Tell me how much value you get. Do it fast. Let me know the calculation. Let me know how much you're getting. Pi by 4, 20 square minus 15 square. Okay. Do the calculation. Similarly, we should calculate cross-section area for this second one. Its outer diameter is 35, inner diameter is 25. So pi by 4, 35 square minus 25 square. This is for second one. Similarly, we should do it for third one, A3. That is pi by 4. See, for inner one, it's 20, 15. For middle one, it's 35, 25. For outer one, it's 50, 40. Right? So it is 50 square minus 40 square. 50 square minus 40 square. Right? So let me know the values. Let me know the values immediately for first one. What value we are getting? What value you are getting for first one? So you are supposed to respond. Zubair, tell me what value you are getting. Zubair, A1. For A1, you tell me. Abu Talib, you tell me for A2.
Yeah, sir.
Chilwan, you tell me for A3. Do the calculation and let me know how much you are getting. Tell me for A1, what value you are getting. A1. So it is 137.44 mm square. This is A1. All of you check your values. Then this is 471.23 mm square.
471.23.
471.23 mm square.
A2.
And A3 you are getting as 706.85 mm square. Right? This is the value which you are getting. Right? So we have A1, A2, and A3. Right? Now next thing, see, this is very important. Now next thing will be to write down the value of element stiffness matrices. Okay, we need to write down the value of element stiffness matrices. So what is element stiffness matrices for bar under axial load? We should be able to write down that, right? Right. So I will write down element stiffness matrices. Element stiffness matrices, or I will just write down element matrix equation first. Element matrix equation is given by, this is basically the bar under axial load, right? So element matrix equation is given by AE by L, okay, 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 into displacement, that is U1 U2 is equal to forces, that is F1 F2 is equal to forces, that is F1 F2, right? Okay, now see this particular term, it is called as element stiffness matrices. This is to be multiplied by displacement, right? U is given by force, F is given by force F, right? So see, as I told you, see, element matrix equation is given by AE by L, 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, U1 U2 is equal to F1 F2, where this particular term, it's called as element stiffness matrices multiplied by displacement is given by force. Now let's go one by one. See, let me make you clear that. See, if you have area, in mm square, try to understand. If you have area in mm square, E in is in gigapascal, E is in gigapascal, length in mm, okay, length in mm. See, A is in mm square, A is in mm square, okay. E it is in gigapascal, L length is in mm, okay. Obviously you will get displacements, this we will get, displacement you will get it in mm, okay, and forces, okay, these are in kilonewton, forces these are in kilonewton, right? So if this is the case, then there is no unit conversion required. Okay, then if this is the case, then there is no unit convergence required. So if you can see the data which is given in our problem, okay, see, you can see here values. As I told you, area, diameter are in mm, so area we will get it in mm square. E is, it is already given in gigapascal. Length it is already given in mm, and force, okay, the force it is already given in kilonewton. You can see force it is already given in kilonewton. So no any unit conversion is required. Right? No any unit conversion is required. So let's start. Okay, deriving. Let's start deriving. Okay, element stiffness matrices. Okay, element stiffness matrices for element number 1. So I will write down stiffness matrices for element number 1. I will write down for element number 1. Area of element number 1. Okay, that I will write down 137.44 area into E of element number 1. Okay, E of element number 1. Let me see that. Okay, E of element number 1, inner element. It is 200. Right? It is 200. Try to see. E is 200. A, E, C. A for first element, it is this one. E for inner element, it's 200. Right? 200 by L. You can see by L. What is the length of the element? It's 100. Okay. Into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Right? So can you tell me how much it is coming? Can you tell me how much it is coming? Do it fast and let me know. Do the calculation and let me know. How much the value is coming? See, if you calculate this term, okay, it is coming to be, how much it is coming? Just do the calculation, all of you. 137.44 into 200 divided by 100. Okay, it will come as 274.88. 274.88. This term will come as 274.88. You multiplied inside this matrices. This is minus 274.88. This is minus 274.88 and 274.88. 274.88, right? Okay. Now see, if you talk about this element number one, see the element number one. Just see this element number one. We are talking about element number one. It has to be between nodes. Every element will be between nodes. So element number one, it is between node 1 and 2. So write down like that. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So that is the thing which are done, right? Now go for element stiffness matrix of element number 2. Element stiffness matrix for element number 2. So go for that. Okay, for element number 2, this is the area, that is 471.23. Okay, this is the area into E for element number 2. Okay, so this is the element number 2. For E is 180. Okay, 180 by L. Length of every element, it's 100 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, right? So just calculate this value and just see how much we're getting. Okay, calculate that. So you will get its value as 848.21. Check this value. Okay, so this is 848.21 you will get. This is minus 848.21, again minus 848.21 and 848.21. Okay, right? So this, if you talk about this element number 2, you can see element number 2, it is between again node 1 and 2. So write down accordingly 1, 2 and 1, right? Okay. Now let's go for element number 3. Stiffness matrix of element number 3, right? Stiffness matrix of element number 3. For that, you required area of element number 3. That is 706.85. This is area. Okay, you can see area written. E for element number 3. See, this is element number 3. For E is 120 upon length of element number 3. You can see every element, it is of same length, and that is basically 100 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, right? So just do the calculation and let me know the answer. How much we're getting. Just do the calculation and let me know the answer, how much we're getting. Okay. So it will come as 848.22. Then this will come as minus 848.22. This will come as minus 848.22. And this is 848.22. 848.22, right? Now, if you see this element number 3, it is again between node 1 and 2. So write down, this is 1, 2, and this is 1, right? 1, 2, 1. Is that okay? So now see, we have element stiffness matrices. We have it for element number 1, we have it for element number 2, we have it for element number 3. See, this element stiffness matrices will take care of element number 1. This element stiffness matrices will take care of element number 2, and this element stiffness matrices will take care of element number 3. But we should have a single matrix. which will take care of all these elements. Which will take care of all these elements, right? And such matrix, okay, and such matrix, it is called as global stiffness matrix, right? Such matrix, it is called as global stiffness matrix, right? So in order to write the global stiffness matrix, we should be able to write down the size of the global stiffness matrix, right? So I'll mention here size of global stiffness matrix. I need to determine the size of the global stiffness matrix. Okay. So how you'll determine the size of the global stiffness matrix? It is determined by number of nodes multiplied by degrees of freedom multiplied by degrees of freedom per node. Okay, so how many nodes you have multiplied by, okay, the in how many directions the node can move. Simple. How many nodes you have multiplied by in how many directions the node will move. Okay, so let's comment on based upon this problem. Okay, so how many nodes we have? We have two nodes. Okay, and in how many direction it will move? See, you are applying the force in x direction. So obviously the node 2 will move in x direction only. See, you are applying the force in x. See, at node 1 it is fixed. So at this point it is fixed. Node 1 is fixed. So obviously node 2 will move only in x direction because you are applying the force in x direction, right? So you have only one direction in which the each node can move, right? So I will write down this as 1. So this I will get it as 2. Okay. So size of the global stiffness matrix will be 2 by 2. Size of the global stiffness matrix will be 2 by 2. Okay. So what I will do here now is I will write down the global stiffness matrix. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Let us see. Let's see. So let's say I will have 2 rows and 2 columns, right? So I will write down this as this is 1, this is 2, right? This is again 1 and this is 2. Okay. So simple. Okay. We should have 2 rows, 2 columns because size is 2. Okay, all of you see size of the global stiffness matrix, it is 2 by 2. Okay, so that matrix I have written. Now what I need to do is I need to just pick the matrices. I need to just pick this element stiffness matrices. I need to place it here. I just need to pick the element stiffness matrices and I need to place it here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just pick and place, pick and place, pick and place. Nothing else I will do. Right? So see here, this is 1, 2, 1, 2. This is again 1, 2, 1, 2. So there is nothing. Okay, there is nothing to what you can say, think or nothing to check. Okay, it's a straightforward matrix. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's just pick and place. Okay, so just pick and place. So I'll do 274.88. This is minus 274.88. This is minus 274.88. This is 274.88. See, 274.88 minus 274.88 minus 274.88, 274.88. Is that okay? Let me know. Nothing else I done because it's a straightforward. If you need to go element to element wise, you can do that. Right? How to go element to element wise? 1, 1. So this is 1, this is 1. So this element I put. 1, 2, 1, 2. You put this element. Then 2, 1. You put this element. 2, 1. You put this element. Right? Then at 2, 2. You put this element. This is right. Now you go for the second term. Okay, second matrices. That is basically the element stiffness matrices for second element. Okay, let's start. It is again straightforward. 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'll go like that. See, I'll write on this term. 8. This is plus value, no? This is plus value. So this is plus 848.1 plus 848.1. Right? Here it is minus 848.1. See, minus 848.1. Then again minus 848.1. Minus 848.1. Then plus 848.1 plus 848.1. Right? This is all about second element. Now let's start with the third element. This is third element. So it is again 1, 2, 1, 2. So nothing to think. So this element I will write down here. So plus 848.22. Right? Next this element minus 848.22. Then this element minus 848.22, and this element 848.22, right? So this is what I written. Okay, so this thing which I'm getting, this is nothing but your global stiffness matrices. This is nothing but your global stiffness matrices, right? Now what we'll do is, see, now you know this equation. Okay, element stiffness matrices into displacement is given by force. Okay, so on the similar hand, we have global stiffness matrices multiplied by displacements is given by force. Okay, so let me write down these things here. Okay, so let me write down this thing here. Tell me this addition, how much it is getting. This term, how much this term we are getting. Let me know the addition. Let me know how much addition you are getting. Okay, so this term is going to this term. If you see this addition, okay, if you see about this addition, okay, it will come as 1971.31. This is minus 1971.31. Then this is minus 1971.31, and this is 1971.31. Okay, so this is our global stiffness matrices, right? This is to be multiplied by displacement. So obviously there are two nodes, you will have two displacements, is given by forces, that is F1 and F2, is given by the forces, that is F1 and F2, right? Now tell me how to solve this equation. We are interested to solve this equation. I just we can just come back to the problem what is given, and let me know how to solve this equation, how we can solve this equation now. How to solve this equation. Okay, now see, in order to solve any equation, okay, what is required is we need to reduce this equation to some simplified form, right? And for that we will impose a boundary condition. You can see at node 1, okay, the structure is fixed. At node 1 the structure is fixed. So what I will do, I will make the displacement at node 1 to be equal to 0, right? So when I will make any displacement equal to 0, then that particular row and that particular column gets cancelled. First row, first column gets cancelled because u1 is 0, right? Now let's calculate the value of, okay, see, when any displacement gets 0, that particular row, that particular column gets cancelled. Now we are interested to calculate the value of u2 provided F2 is known. Okay, force applied at 2, force applied at node 2 is known. So what is the force applied at node 2? You can see at node 2, what is applied? It is 80 kilonewton, right? At node 2, what is applied? It's 80 kilonewton. Okay, so what we'll get? We'll get a simple equation, right? 19. I will just go to the next page. Okay, put the next page. So see here, you can see here. So if you can see this equation, okay, it is 1971.31. See, this is 1971.31 into U2, right? Into U2 is equal to F2, is equal to F2, and that is equal to 80, right? F2 is equal to 80. So I will write down that. That is 1971.31 into U2 is equal to F2, and its value is 80, right? Its value is 80 because 80 we have applied, right? So if you just calculate its value, okay, so U2 is going to come as 0.0405 mm. As I told you, you will get a displacement in mm. Okay, so this is the value of U2, 0.0405 mm. Okay, see, as I told you previously only, you can see if you take area in mm square is in gigapascal, length in is mm, forces in kilonewton, then you will get displacement in mm. See, A is in mm square, E is in gigapascal, L is in mm. This then forces they are in kilonewton, then you will get displacement in mm. Right?
सर ये जो डिस्प्लेसमेंट है वो क्या है, मतलब कौन से किसके बीच का डिस्प्लेसमेंट है ये?
हाँ, okay, no problem. See, okay, no problem. So see, if you want to check what is the displacement, see, this is fixed support, and these are the three rings which are attached to this plate. Okay, when you apply, can I draw some rough diagram here? Okay, or should I calculate the reaction and then I will explain from where it is came? Okay, I will go in that manner. Okay, so this is a U2 which we got for 0.405. Now see, when you apply some force here, okay, as this is fixed, some reaction will be generated at the fixed support, right? So how much you applied? 80 kilonewton, which is going towards right hand side. 80 kilonewton, which is going towards right hand side. So obviously, here the reaction which is generated, that is 80 kilonewton, will go on the left hand side. Try to understand. When you apply 80 kilonewton here, in order to balance that 80 kilonewton, 80 kilonewton on the left hand side will be produced, and that is nothing but a reaction, right? When you apply 80 kilonewton on a right hand side, in order to balance that 80 kilonewton on a right hand side, 80 kilonewton on a left hand side will be produced, and that is nothing but a reaction. So and that reaction, it is nothing but that reaction will be generated at the node 1, and what is that reaction? That is called as F1. The reaction will be generated at node 1, and that is F1. So how to calculate that? So in order to calculate that, okay, this row and this column will give you F1, right? Okay, this row, this column will give you F1. Same what we have done. This row, and this column is written as F2. So that is what I written. This row, this column is equal to F2. That is what is written at first. Now, in order to calculate F1, I will go first row, this column is equal to F1, right? So how I'll write down? I will write down this as 1971.31, 1971.31 into U1, right? 1971.31 into U1 plus minus 1971.31. See, this is minus 1971.31 into U2 is equal to F1, right? Is equal to F1. See, this into this plus this into this is equal to F1, right? First row, this column is equal to F1. Now let's put those. So 1971.31 into U1 is 0. You can see U1 is 0. For sake of understanding, I am writing. Otherwise, I might have written this into this is equal to U1. I know that this term into this one, it is 0 already. Okay. So plus, okay, this minus sign I will take here, minus 1971.31 into U2. So this is the value of U2. 0.0405 is equal to F1. So just calculate how much value of F1 we are getting. F1. Just check it and let me the value of F1. How much we are getting? F1. See, it will be better. You just directly let me know the values instead of putting those values in the chart box. Okay. So let me know. Okay. See, if you calculate this value, you will get the value of F1. It is equal to minus 79.83. Minus 79.83, and I will make it. It is approximately equal to 80 kilonewton, right? 80 kilonewton, right? Yes or not? Okay. Now if you check the condition of equilibrium, that is summation of forces that are acting in x direction. Okay, that is equal to F1 plus F2. Okay, F1 plus F2. So F1 this is minus 79.83. That is 80. I will take approximately 80. Okay, I need to write down minus sign. This is minus. This is minus 80. Okay, this is minus 80. Okay, so this is minus 80 plus this 80, right? Minus 80 plus 80. So if you want, I will write down here. It is minus 80 kilonewton. Minus 80 kilonewton. I will cut it. Minus 80 kilonewton, right? So this is minus 80 plus 80. I will get its summation of forces to be equal to 0. Summation of forces to be equal to 0. So summation of forces, it is coming as 0. That means whatever the value of displacement that I got, it's correct. Because when you have correct value of displacement, then only reactions will be correct, and then only summation of forces will tend to 0. Okay, so this is how it works, right? Now one of you have got asked this question, sir, from where this reaction has came, right? From where this displacement has came. Now let me clear. Okay, see, okay, I will just draw a rough diagram. Okay, so simple. Let's consider this is your fixed support. To this fixed support, okay, we have these rings, right? We have these rings. Okay, I will just draw a small diagram. Okay, we have these rings. Okay, we have these rings, right? I will not go into the detail. Okay, so these are the rings which are attached to fixed support. These are the rings which are attached to fixed support, right? Now, when you apply this, let's say 80 kilonewton, which is given, when you apply the 80 kilonewton, which is given, what happens is, see, this is the initial position, right? This is the initial position, right? This is the initial position. But when you apply the 80 kilonewton, okay, in x direction, what happens? This rings gets elongates. Okay, so it is going to occupy this new position. Okay, it is going to occupy this new position. Try to understand. Right, so this is the new position which you got. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay now? See, this is the initial diagram, and when you apply 80 kilonewton, the structure get displaced. Okay, so structure get displaced. Now point will be, what is about this point? What is about fixed point? It is at the same location, right? See, this is basically node 1, which we are calling, this is node 1, right? This is node 1. And this is basically node 2. This is node 2. Try to understand. This is node 1. This is node 2. But what happens when you apply 80 kilonewton? Node 2, which was initially here, it has got now new position, that is 2 dash. It has got now new position. Initially it was at point number 2. Now it becomes 2 dash. And distance between 2 and 2 dash, it is nothing but a displacement of node 2, that is U2, which we have calculated. Is that okay? What is about node 1? It is at the same location. It hasn't moved because it is fixed. It is connected to the fixed support.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Are you able to get this one? Let me know. Right. So this is the initial position where we have node 1 here, node 2 here. But when you apply the force, node 2 is going to get shifted by distance U2. So its new position becomes 2 dash. So distance between its initial position and final position, it is U2. Okay, and for which we are interested, we need to calculate this value of U2. Now see, when you apply here 80 kilonewton, F2 when you apply at node 2, see here, when you apply F2 force, that is 80 kilonewton, okay, at node 2, okay, what happens? A force of equal magnitude but the opposite direction will be generated at node 1. And what is that? 80 kilonewton. Try to understand. So this is F2, which has been given in the problem. See, this is F2. This is the F2 which is given in the problem, that is 80 kilonewton. Okay, and this is the F1, that is a reaction that is generated, that we have calculated, F1, 80 kilonewton. Right? This has been given in the problem. They have applied 80 kilonewton, and in order to balance this 80 kilonewton, the 80 kilonewton it is produced at node 1. Okay, so I have not here, I have not written minus here because I already shown it by arrow. The arrow is going on the left hand side, that means it is minus. The arrow is going on the right hand side, that means it is plus. So when you apply 80 kilonewton on the right hand side, 80 kilonewton on the left hand side will be produced, and that is nothing but this 80 kilonewton. It is nothing but your reaction that is generated, right? This is reaction generated, right? This is a reaction that is generated. Is that okay? All of you, is that okay? Is it okay to each of you? Let me know. Is it okay to each of you?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So see, all of you see here. So how we have started and how we have ended with the problem? Just see this one. Okay. What we have? We have these three concentric rings. This is inner ring with inner diameter 15 and 20. On that we have one more ring with inner diameter 25, outer diameter 35. On that we have one more ring with inner diameter 40 and outer diameter 50. These three rings are made up of different material, as value of E is different for every ring. This total, this length of the ring, it is 100 mm. Okay, and at one end these rings are fixed. At other end they are connected to plate where 80 kilonewton force is applied on the right hand side. So this is what is problem is given, and they're asking to calculate the displacement. So see, each ring, it is having different diameter. That means what? It is having different cross section. Each ring, it is having different material. Okay. So based on these criteria, we are getting three elements. Okay. So the elements which are available by considering the criteria of change in cross section are same as that of elements which are available by considering change in material. So element number 1, innermost. Okay. Element number 2, middle one, and element number 3, outermost. And all these three elements are connected to same points. That is, at the left hand side they are connected to fixed support. At the right hand side they are connected to plate. Okay, so we have all these three elements between same nodes, node 1 and node 2. Okay, now in order to calculate its element stiffness matrices, we should know the area. So we have calculated area as pi by 4 d square. Okay, but it is having two diameter, inner and outer. So I've written outer square minus inner square, outer square minus inner square, outer square minus inner square. So I got the area, right? After that, I've written the element stiffness matrices or element stiffness equation. Okay, and this is the element stiffness equation where I am interested to calculate the value of element stiffness matrix. Okay, so I've calculated element stiffness matrix for element number 1, 2, 3. Okay, now after that, I need to write down global stiffness matrix. For that, I should know its size, and size will be number of rows multiplied by number of columns. So how to determine the size? Size will be governed by how many nodes you have, and those nodes are capable of moving in how many directions. So I have two nodes, and each node can move in X direction. That is only it can move in one direction. So 2 into 1, I'm getting as 2. So size is 2 by 2. Size is 2 by 2. Now what I done? I just simply drawn a matrices of 2 by 2 size. I just pick every element. Okay, and I just place it in global stiffness matrices. Pick the element stiffness matrices for element number 1. Place it here. Okay, pick this matrices. Place it here. Pick this matrices. Place it here. Right. Now see, when you have this matrices, okay, how you'll check that whatever the matrices that you got, it's correct. Now see all of you at node number 1, 3 elements are connected. At node number 2, again 3 elements are connected, right? So at 1, 1 you should have 3 elements. At 2, 2 you should have 3 elements, because at node number 1 3 elements are connected. That means at 1, 1 there should be 3 terms. Now at node number 2, 3 elements are connected. At node number 2, again 3 elements are connected. So at 2, 2 you should have 3 terms. That is what is written. Now global stiffness matrices multiplied by displacement is given by force. I've written this equation. Now our structure is fixed at node 1. That's why displacement is 0. So that particular row, that particular column gets cancelled. Okay, so if I need to calculate the value of U2, I should put the value of F2, and that is I have entered as 80. Okay, because it is given in the problem. Now what I got, once I put that value, I got the value of displacement. Now I have calculated the reactions. How to calculate reaction? First row multiplied by this column is F1. So in that I have put the value, and F1 it was coming as minus 79.83. So that is approximately equal to 80. Now apply the condition of equilibrium. That is summation of forces in x direction is 0. So F1 plus F2, and it is coming as 0. That means if summation of forces it is coming 0, values of displacements are correct. That means you have correctly solved the problem. Okay. So is that okay to everyone? All of you? I just summarized in the last this problem. So
Yes.
everybody should be able to get it. Is that okay? Is that okay? Is that okay to each of you? Let me know. Okay. So what we will do today, we will conclude with this session, and in the next lecture, we will take the problems on tapered bar, horizontal tapered bar. Bar will be horizontal, but it will be having tapered cross section. Okay. So today we will stop here, and in this next lecture, we will continue the problem on horizontal tapered bar.